Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for our continuing employer outreach and webinar series. We're so glad to have you here today. You have with you today a number of experts from our apprenticeship office here to go through some of the mechanics behind starting a registered apprenticeship program for your business. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. Number one, this webinar will be recorded and sent out for later viewing. There's a lot of content to be shared, so certainly don't worry, we'll be sharing this out afterward. All of our webinars are available on our YouTube channel. Again, within the PowerPoint that you'll also be receiving is a link to our YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out. So again, welcome to the How to Start a Registered Apprenticeship Program in Colorado. Just a few things to share with you from the department's perspective before I turn it over to my colleagues. Next slide. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please do submit those in the Q&A function versus chat, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation and hope to allow as much time as possible for us to get to your individual questions. Please know if we don't get to those today, continue to chat those in through the Q&A function, and we will send the responses to those questions out again, along with all of the content from today's presentation. Included in some of those previous webinars are topics such as workers' comp premium, savings, unemployment insurance premiums, understanding the unemployment insurance trust fund, how it impacts your premiums. A lot of content out there, and save the date for December 16th. That will be our end of the year webinar on Colorado's new paid family leave program, really helping you navigate what you need to know with regard to what to expect from the program, who, by the way, we will be starting a very ambitious outreach effort to Colorado's employer community in January of next year, so that you are prepared with everything you need to know to prepare for that when we start collecting premiums in 2023. Next slide. Before I turn it over to my colleagues, a few things to highlight from the department. In addition to our regulatory functions, we offer assistance and programs to help you navigate a lot of our division requirements, and these vary from providing you with guidance around workers' comp premium reduction support and assistance programs, public safety programs, UI compliance within our audit programs, VOC rehab, how to create an accessible work environment for your workforce, and wage and hour assistance. We also have a number of employer recognition programs, and we continue to revise and adopt new programs every year. In fact, just this week, we held an Excellence in Apprenticeships program where we recognized not only apprentices, but employers who are committed to excellence in an apprenticeship space. And we recognized them in a virtual award ceremony this week. And so stay tuned for those. We always love to recognize outstanding employers in Colorado. And these are just a few examples of how we do that. Next slide. And with that, I will turn it over to our Office of Future of Work.
All right, thanks so much, Sharon. Thanks to everyone for joining today. My name is Catherine Keegan, and I'm the Director for the Office of the Future of Work at the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment. Before I hand it over to my colleague to tell you all about registered apprenticeship programs and how to get one started, I wanted to give you a little bit of information about the office itself and tell you a little bit why it's so exciting to talk about apprenticeships right now and what there is to look forward to. So if you haven't heard of the office, that's okay. It's relatively new. It was established in September of 2019 through an executive order from Governor Bullis. And the mandate of the office is to raise awareness about what the future of work looks like in Colorado, and then to identify policy and program solutions that will help us have a skilled, resilient workforce and economy. So we do this through a few different programs and activities, one of which is a recent program that was established through legislation in the most recent session. So we are how the State Apprenticeship Agency is housed within the Office of the Future of Work at CDLE, which is part of the reason we wanted to bring this presentation as part of this employer webinar. So the State Apprenticeship Agency will be responsible for registering, deregistering programs. It will be responsible for expanding registered apprenticeship programs in the state, And we're beginning that process of transitioning to have that authority. So the process takes about a year and a half where we will build a plan and our standards for registered apprenticeships in the state, and it'll be reviewed by the U.S. Department of Labor. At that point, they will provide feedback or approve our plan, and then we will have that authority starting July 1, 2023 to register apprenticeship programs in the state. In the meantime, we have resources through some federal expansion grants, as well as partnerships with our workforce centers, our higher ed partners, to really promote registered apprenticeships in the state. And so a lot of the resources that you'll be hearing about today are developed through those expansion grants from USDOL and allow us to do a lot of work to create more registered apprenticeships in the state, even ahead of when we are a state apprenticeship agency state. The other thing that's exciting to note is that this week is National Apprenticeship Week, which is part of the reason we wanted to have this webinar with you all. National Apprenticeship Week is also part of Colorado's Apprenticeship Month, which is acknowledged through a proclamation from Governor Polis, because we believe so much in apprenticeships as a powerful model for workers who need to earn while they earn while they learn, as well as for employers who need to build the talent that they want for now and in the future. So we believe in apprenticeships, and we're excited to share those resources with you and hope that you will adopt apprenticeships more in your organization and share these resources with other employers in your network. Before I hand it over, I wanted to just highlight a few of the other key areas of work for the office. Beyond the State Apprenticeship Agency, the office oversees the state's digital equity and transformation work in partnership with the Broadband Office and others. So as the Broadband Office is building infrastructure for internet access at an affordable rate, we're thinking about how we make sure every Coloradan has the skills, devices, and access they need in order to accomplish their goals for work, learning, and daily life. We also do research around worker protections and benefits to think about how we build more portable benefits to support workers, no matter what type of work they're doing. So you can learn more all about that on our website, which you'll see listed here. And I hope this is the beginning of the conversation with many of you, because we have so much work to do, and we do it in partnership with all of you. So you can always reach out to me, and we'll include my email in this and then also on the website. So with that, I want to hand it over to my colleague, Melissa English, who is our apprenticeship specialist. She's going to give us an overview of what registered apprenticeship programs are, what are the resources we have available, and how you can get involved in the apprenticeship space in Colorado. So again, thank you for being here. And with that, we can hand it over to Melissa.
Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for spending some of your Thursday afternoon with us. And I'm really excited to be with you and be talking about registered apprenticeships. For us at the Office of Future of Work, it is a big part of the work that we do, and it's really exciting to have these opportunities to talk with employers like yourselves about registered apprenticeships and to start this conversation to help you explore if registered apprenticeships are a good solution for any of your kind of workforce. They could be challenges, they're opportunities, but registered apprenticeships we found are a great workforce solution for a lot of businesses. And so we love this opportunity to talk about them. And so in the time that we have today, I am going to spend this opportunity talking about what registered apprenticeships are, kind of some of the core components of registered apprenticeships, kind of how the process of registering an apprenticeship is here in the state of Colorado, and the resources that are available to you as a business, which are unique for the state of Colorado, and we're really excited about that. And then also the resources that are available to you on our website and through our apprenticeship consultants and some of the other things that you could connect with as you're exploring registered apprenticeships. So first, we'll start with a definition of what is a registered apprenticeship. And first of all, it's really important to know that without businesses like you, registered apprenticeships don't exist. So registered apprenticeships are industry driven, and they are high quality career pathways where employers are developing and preparing their future workforce. And it's being done so that individuals can obtain that paid work experience. They have the opportunity opportunity to embark in related instruction. And after that experience, they're going to have a portable national recognized credential from the US Department of Labor. And so you may have heard Catherine say, earn while you learn, and that is something you'll often hear with registered apprenticeships. It's an earn while you learn model of training, which is really exciting. So you don't have to pick going to school or working. You can kind of combine all of those things so that that individual is having the chance to gain income while they're getting the skills they need. And employers are getting to develop employees exactly that meet their workforce needs. Next slide, please. We are really excited because we have a lot of different initiatives in the state right now around registered apprenticeships. One of those is the IDEA grant, and we recently received a $10 million grant to focus on different sectors. And one of those, well, actually 6 of those sectors are listed in front of you. But why we really have these 6 sectors is because this represents all of the different programs that registered apprenticeships are in the state. And so we currently have over 350 different registered apprenticeships in the state of Colorado. And they are in all of these 6 different sectors, as well as what we kind of consider other sectors as well. And so in those 350 programs, we have, and I don't know the exact number of apprentices because I forgot to ask our data person this morning, but in the thousands of apprentices here in Colorado. But it is so exciting because you can see the various sectors that we have. We have everything from high tech, IT, cybersecurity. We have the energy and skilled trades. So kind of where apprenticeships started in 1937 in the skilled trades all the way to IT, healthcare, education. It's so exciting that apprenticeships can be built in any area, any industry, any occupation. And we can, talk to employers and see where are your needs and help you develop that program. And as I was mentioning about the IDEA grant, we are now focusing in these specific 6 areas that you'll see in front of you. So IT and cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, transportation and logistics, healthcare and behavioral health, education and public sector, and then energy and skilled trades. And so those are kind of the 6 areas that we'll be talking a lot more about in the next several years as you hear more about the IDEA grant. Next slide, please. So for every registered apprenticeship, there are several core components that every single program will have. And this is what, when we take a program to the US Department of Labor to have it registered, they're going to look for these core components. So the very first thing, and it goes back to that earn while you learn model, is that there is wages first. The employer is paying the apprentice, and there is a wage progression. And what we mean by that is as the apprentice's skills and knowledge are increasing, their wages are increasing as well. And so not only is that really beneficial to the apprentice because they are going to be more invested in the opportunity because they can see their income increase as their knowledge increases, but that also keeps the apprentice staying with the employer as well. They're less likely to want to leave that opportunity because they can see the future potential as they see their wages increase. So there has to be a minimum of 1 wage increase. The next piece is the on-the-job learning. And so that is the hands-on component of the registered apprenticeship. And that's where the apprentice is, on the job, working, learning all of the pieces of that occupation. They will have a mentor with them, teaching them different competencies. For each apprenticeship, the apprentice must be there a minimum of 2,000 hours, which is equivalent to 1 year of full-time employment. We often hear questions about, why is that 2,000 hours? How is that determined? And so the USDOL has kind of looked at different occupations and determined how long it takes to learn different skill sets, different occupations. And so they've kind of given a guideline. And so some of the skilled trades may have longer hours, and then other occupations kind of have that set minimum of 2,000 hours. The last component is the related instruction, and that is kind of classroom knowledge-based knowledge that the apprentice will learn as part of their apprenticeship. And each apprentice will have a minimum of 144 hours per year of related instruction. And that is completely customizable based on the employer's needs. And so they can think about, what job or position are they building their apprenticeship around? And then they think about how do they want to design their related instruction. And so we've seen programs that have partnered with a community college or even a university and brought in a few college courses. We've seen organizations partner with a local union to find coursework. We have found organizations that had very strong internal training and just tapped into the internal training, and that's what they developed their related instruction. So completely customizable. It just has to hit that mark of a minimum of 144 hours a year. Next slide, please. So the next things that we're going to talk about are kinds of the supports that we have to help build that sustainable registered apprenticeship program. So next slide. So one thing that we have is that we have built what we call the Apprenticeship Hub. And the Apprenticeship Hub was designed to build a continuum of service for our registered apprenticeship program sponsors and all of their partners. So one thing I forgot to mention when I was kind of explaining what a registered apprenticeship program was who is a sponsor, who is an employer, and who is a related instruction provider. So I'm going to take 1 second to explain that. So a sponsor is the entity that is kind of administering a registered apprenticeship program. It can be the employer, it doesn't have to be the employer, but they're the ones that are going to kind of track the progress of the employer or the apprentices and make sure that they're successfully working through their apprenticeship program. And the sponsor is also the one that registers the program with the U.S. Department of Labor. And so when we say that we're making sure that the sponsor is kind of having all the supports they need, that's what we're talking about. The employer is the one employing the apprentice. They're very important. They're key in this puzzle of registered apprenticeship. And then we have our related instruction provider, who is the one helping with that related instruction portion. And like I mentioned, it can be the employer if they're providing the related instruction, or it could be another partner like a college or a K-12 school, or even an online provider. So just so we kind of know who our partners are. And great question, the sponsor and the employer can be the same entity. So the Apprenticeship Hub was designed to provide this continuum of service to our sponsors, all of their partners, and to really streamline our workforce, business and career services, so that we're really making sure that all of our program sponsors have all of the right services at all of the right times. And they become the expert in supporting the apprenticeship development and expansion process. And so as we were creating this Apprenticeship Hub with our partners, one thing came to light is we needed something or someone to help program sponsor through the process of developing and expanding their programs. And so in that process, we developed what we call an apprenticeship consultant. And I think if we can go to the next slide, it will give kind of an overview of our apprenticeship consultants. So our apprenticeship consultants will come in and walk an employer through the entire development of their registered apprenticeship from start to finish. And they will help an employer first decide if registered apprenticeship is a good fit for their organization. And if it's not, they will be completely honest and really be your advocate in that and connect you to the right resources if registered apprenticeship isn't a good fit. But if it is a good fit, they will help and connect to all of the resources you need to develop that registered apprenticeship and walk you through the process of finding the right partners, finding the related instruction provider, finding all of those right pieces to develop the perfect program for you. And that has been what I consider a real game changer here in Colorado. Those consultants will then help, connect to USDOL to get a program registered, and then help with the recruitment, help with any other pieces that a business needs to ensure the success of their registered apprenticeship program. So you can always come to our website at CDLE and connect with an apprenticeship consultant. We have an easy form you fill out, and that will connect you to a consultant. We were lucky enough, as I mentioned, with the IDEA grant to be able to get funding for more apprenticeship consultants that specialize in those different sectors that I alluded to earlier. And so you would indicate, what industry you're interested in that connects to the occupations you're interested in. And then that apprenticeship consultant will reach back out to you, answer any of your questions. And then if registered apprenticeship is a good fit for you, we'll help you move forward in that process. Next question, I'm sorry, next slide. If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the Q&A. So this is what the apprenticeship program development process would look like for any organization that wants to develop a registered apprenticeship program in Colorado. So as I mentioned, we want to make sure that registered apprenticeship is a good fit for anyone. And so the beginning step is really the exploration. And so every apprenticeship consultant will work with a business to decide if registered apprenticeship is that best workforce solution. And if it is, then they'll kind of work through the rest of this process with you. Next step is identifying the partners. So first, determining what role is the best role for your organization. It really, for registered apprenticeship, it really is determining, who is the best fit for each of those roles. And then finding the right partners to fill in the other. And the consultants are really good at helping to kind of answer those questions so you can identify what role is best for you. Is sponsorship a good role for you? And then finding you partners to fill in any of the other roles. Then they're going to help you develop your on-the-job learning and related instruction. So as I mentioned, those were two main components of the registered apprenticeship. And so they'll help you from the very beginning to give you samples of on-the-job learning competencies, of related instruction outlines, and answer any questions you have about developing those portions of the program and prepare you for registration with USDOL or the US Department of Labor. And so after you have all of that information, you've identified your partners, you've developed your on-the-job learning and related instruction, answered a few other questions to prepare you for registration, they'll ensure that that program is ready and then they'll refer you to the US Department of Labor to finalize your registration process. Since we've developed this program development process, we have seen programs moving through the registration process with USDOL much more smoothly because they're prepared for the questions that US Department of Labor is going to ask them when they get to them for registration. After their program is registered, they celebrate, they are ready, and they're ready to hire their first apprentice. And so then they'll meet back up with their apprenticeship consultant, and they'll kind of go into the next step of recruitment and program support. And the recruitment and support is completely dependent on an employer's needs. They may have a referral to workforce centers to say, you know, I need extra support of posting my position. I'm interested in a virtual job fair, and they'll connect them to the right workforce supports there. Or they may have questions about funding opportunities, and they're going to connect them to those funding opportunities. So any supports they need for their registered apprenticeship, the consultants will assist them with those. And so as the apprenticeship program is successful and they want to grow and add more occupations, the apprenticeship consultant will always be there as that continual support for employer or sponsor, and they can reach out at any time for anything that they may need in regards to the registered apprenticeship program. So that is kind of how the registered apprenticeship program development process works, and how an employer can kind of jump in and develop and expand a program at any time with the help of our apprenticeship consultants.
Melissa, we have a couple questions. One is about
Perfect.
just the timeline for this process and for the approval specifically. And then another question just about the opportunity to do competency-based and versus the hours you outlined at the beginning.
Perfect. Yeah. So the timeline for registration, it does vary dependent on what questions the U.S. Department of Labor might have. But like I mentioned, we really have streamlined this process so that it is as quick as possible when it gets to the U.S. Department of Labor. And so we have seen the majority of our programs that go through this process being registered with the Department of Labor in under a month. And so, you know, in comparison to what, you know, some of those timelines were in the past, that is a pretty good timeline. And then the question about careers that are competency-based versus others. So kind of just if I had to broadly say, our skills trades are the occupations that are going to be not competency-based. Those are what we call time-based occupations. And so USDOL has certain time amounts that are attached to our skilled trades occupation. And usually those align with the hours that are required for those professional licensures. So they'll align with, you know, in Colorado, our door licensures and things like that. And then the majority of our other occupations are competency-based. And that's where the employer will create a list of competencies. And when the apprentice becomes competent in all of those competencies and has met the minimum of 2,000 hours, that is when that apprenticeship is complete. So I hope that answers those questions. Next slide. So for the next bit of time, we're just going to share some resources that are available as you're exploring if registered apprenticeships are a good fit, if you want to share this information with people. So these are a lot of things on our website that are easily accessible as you're exploring registered apprenticeships. So the very first one is our apprenticeship website. So you can come to our website, you see the link there, and it has a lot of general information about registered apprenticeships. So when you come to our website, if you scroll to the bottom, well, read what's at the top. Don't just scroll to the bottom. I guess that's just my habit when it comes to websites, but you can read everything and then scroll to the bottom. You'll see that there are several different links at the bottom. One is specifically for career seekers, one is for employers, one's for our directory, and then we have another box for our training resources and partners. And so you can kind of see what category you fit into and then click on the box that might be most appropriate. But I like our website because it has lots of just great information, and it's easy to kind of determine, oh, I'm an employer, I want the employer information, or oh, I'm working with someone who's interested in connecting with apprenticeship opportunities. And so maybe I'm going to go to the career seeker button today. Next slide. So we'll start with the information that is available on our career seeker website, which is that first button on the very bottom. It's the gray button. So this is going to have general information about registered apprenticeships and the benefits to our career seekers or apprentices. I think this is really helpful just to think about, you know, why would apprentice or a career seeker choose to explore a apprenticeship. Some of the great benefits are, as we talked about, that guaranteed paycheck with that increase in wages because of those wage progressions, that nationally recognized credential. The other benefit that we didn't necessarily talk about is a lot of our apprenticeships do have the potential to earn college credit. And then I briefly talked about the on-the-job learning, having mentors, but that is really a benefit for our job seekers and our apprentices, because learning from someone who has that experience, who has done the position, who you can ask all of those questions to, is just invaluable. That's just something you don't get, you know, in a traditional kind of classroom training. And so our apprentices really value that mentor component of apprenticeship. And then I'm always just blown away by the facts that are on our website. So you can see here that it talks about, you know, 9 out of 10 of our apprentices continue their employment after their program. And I think, you know, this is on our employer or on our career seeker page, but I think this is an incredible benefit for employers when you're thinking about retention and keeping the highly qualified and highly trained individuals that you just put through an apprenticeship program. 9 out of 10 of them are staying in, you know, with you as an employer at the end of that program. Apprenticeships, you know, there's no requirement that you have to keep an individual at the end of the apprenticeship program, although many employers are using an apprenticeship program as a retention tool. They want to keep employees after the end of the apprenticeship program. But we look at this number, this 9 out of 10 apprentices, that is looking 9 months after the end of an apprenticeship program. That's where that statistic is coming from. Another interesting statistic is that the average salary of an apprentice is $70,000 a year nationally. And so that's looking nationally, and that's looking at all occupations. And then this is always, I just love this statistic, is that apprentices who complete an apprenticeship program are going to earn around $300,000 more over the course of their career than their peers that don't complete an apprenticeship program. So that's just a fun apprenticeship fact. So you'll find a lot of information on our career seeker page. I like the FAQs because someone can come and see, you know, what are the different types of apprenticeship programs. That'll talk about the competency-based versus the time-based. But it will also talk about if there's financial aid for apprenticeship programs, and what to consider when you're looking for different apprenticeship programs. So it gives really practical advice for someone who's considering an apprenticeship program. It also has links to Connecting Colorado, so they can help someone find an apprenticeship program by using our statewide site for job searching. It will have links for My Colorado Journey, so someone can kind of determine, what is my career path, and then Virtual Job Shadow is a great link to explore different careers. Next slide. On our employer tab at the bottom, this is the very, very valuable information for employers. So it starts with, why to consider developing a registered apprenticeship. It has great videos from current apprenticeship programs. So you can actually see a video from Centura Health, which is an active registered apprenticeship program. It has that link to connect with our apprenticeship consultants that I was talking about. So if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see the link to click on to fill out the apprenticeship interest form and request that assistance with developing your program. It also has really helpful links to help you find those partners, information on managing your registered apprenticeship program, and then also information on things like we have an apprenticeship scholarship for new apprentices, which is currently $500 for every single new apprentice that a program hires, as long as they are a new apprentice and 16 years old or older. Well, that just, yeah, 16 years old. So they all information on the employer section. So this is definitely a great place to start to just build that base knowledge about registered apprenticeships, and then it'll provide you the link to the apprenticeship consultants or the contact information just to reach out to the apprenticeship team here at CDLE to answer any of your questions. Next slide. Another way to build that base level of knowledge about registered apprenticeship is to join our weekly e-newsletter, which is called That's a Wrap. So we started That's a Wrap about 1.5 years ago. And it was really just to share information about registered apprenticeships and keep people informed about registered apprenticeships. So it's a weekly e-newsletter that comes out every Thursday at 1 o'clock. And then once a month on the 4th Thursday of the month at 1 o'clock, we have a virtual event. And so during that virtual event, we'll have a webinar about a registered apprenticeship topic. Every month is a different topic. And anyone can join and just learn something new about registered apprenticeships. It's usually, we try to make it very practical, that you can, come and learn and then, implement it into your registered apprenticeship program or use it to start a registered apprenticeship program. So if that's of interest, we always invite you to join the That's a Wrap mailing list, and then we save everything, all previous That's a Wrap's emails and content, and then we have a Google Drive where you can go and look at all of that information. Next slide. We also have created what we call Wrap sessions, which is a way to just learn more about the great registered apprenticeship programs in Colorado. And so we invite our sponsors of our registered apprenticeship programs to come and share the information about their programs. We do these quarterly. And so I think we've done one in June and one in October. And so we'll do them for an entire month, once a week during the month. Different sponsors will come and present on their programs. And during that time, anyone can ask questions about their program and just kind of interact with those sponsors. And it gives a great opportunity to learn more. And then you can, share that information maybe, with anyone, or as an employer thinking about creating a registered apprenticeship program. It's just kind of that way to learn best practices. And we know that, not everyone can attend these, so we record all of those, and we also get copies of the presenter slides, and we've created a Google Drive for all of those as well. So that's something that you can also visit and just learn more about all of those programs. Next slide. So when you come in, you'll also see on our website, we have resources for partners. And so if you are a partner or you want to connect with a partner, this is a great website to go to. So you can learn about if you have questions about employing apprentices, program administration. So if you are that sponsor or thinking about sponsorship, you can come in and learn more about the sponsor requirements. If you just want more knowledge about recruiting and supporting apprentices, you will find that here. You have questions about related instruction, that this part of the website is going to give you all of that information. Next slide. You'll also find on our website, we have apprenticeship events. So it's kind of our event calendar section of the website. And right now, as Catherine mentioned, we are deep in National Apprenticeship Month. Colorado has Apprenticeship Month, and then we are in National Apprenticeship Week. It's very confusing for me, but we are very excited because we love to have a month just to celebrate the amazing things that Colorado apprenticeship programs are doing, and then to broaden it out to look at what nationally apprenticeships are doing. It's a very exciting time for our office. And so we've shared some links so that you can see what Colorado is doing to celebrate Apprenticeship Month, and then nationally you can look at that. But our apprenticeship events calendar, or the events part of our website, you can come in and see those different events. We have an events calendar. So this will have things like hiring events, informational sessions, job fairs. All of those types of apprenticeship related events will be on this part of our website that you can visit at any time. Or if you are developing a program, you can post your events on this calendar as well, or this section of our website, and then we help to promote that at no charge. We just want to, know about the apprenticeship events that are happening in the state and be able to promote those to other people that might be interested. Next slide. One of the sections on our website was the apprenticeship directory, and that is a section that helps individuals find out about registered apprenticeships and for registered apprenticeship programs to promote their programs. And so the next portion of our slides are going to talk a little bit about the apprenticeship directory. So next slide. So this is an example of the apprenticeship directory, and the apprenticeship directory, like I mentioned, was I can't remember exactly when. I believe it was around 2 years ago. There was legislation that went through that asked for the development of the apprenticeship directory, so that we had one place with all of the information about our apprenticeship programs in Colorado. And so this was the directory that was created, and we gather all of the information from all of the registered apprenticeship programs and update it regularly. Whenever there's a new program, we update this information. And then annually, we reach out to the programs and ask for any updated information so that we keep this as current as possible. During those annual updates, a program can opt out of giving us information, and then we just use the base information we have. But it's always a great way to keep information current, to add any additional information that a sponsor wants to add, and then to use it as a recruitment tool, because you can add information about, how often you recruit, how you want individuals to contact you to show interest in your program and things like that. So you can see at the top, you can do all sorts of sorting, very much like any other website, by occupation, by geographic area, by county, by industry, and then you can kind of sort and see different information about different apprenticeship programs. Next slide, please. You may have noticed at the very top, there was a button that said you can download Excel accessible document. This is the Excel accessible document. And the one reason I wanted to show you this is if you look at column G, you'll notice that it says multi-employer program. And what that means is that that's a program that is open to new employer partners. And so they're a sponsor who is open to having other employers come and they'll sponsor your program for you potentially. So if you are in that occupation, they may sponsor your program. Obviously, you would need to have a conversation with them, but at least this is information to start that conversation. You can reach out to them and say, are you accepting employer partners? What does that look like? So I just wanted to point that out, that this can also be used as a resource if you're kind of in that, I'm looking for partners, I'm looking for, to create a program, but I might not be in the place to be a sponsor right now. You can look at the directory and see, oh, is there anyone who has a multi-employer program that is in my occupation that I might be able to reach out to, and they might be wanting to be a sponsor, and then I could just join their program as an employer. So I just wanted to point that out. Next slide. The last thing I wanted to point out as a resource is that after a registered apprenticeship program is registered with the Department of Labor, every sponsor is encouraged to have their new program on the eligible training provider list, or what we call the ETPL. And why we would encourage a registered apprenticeship program to be on the ETPL is because that makes the program eligible for workforce training funds. And those funds are available for the apprentice and potentially for an employer or the related instruction provider. And what's unique in Colorado is that every registered apprenticeship program is automatically eligible to be entered on the Colorado ETPL. And so we always just encourage registered apprenticeship programs to talk with their apprenticeship consultant about the ETPL to see if they're interested in getting their program on that after registration. So I just wanted to bring that up because it's a great way to think about workforce funding, and knowing that if workforce funding is something that you're interested in, getting your program on the ETPL after registering it is going to be an important piece of it, but it definitely is a big benefit for your apprentices and potentially you as an employer or your related instruction providers. Next slide. So at the end of the presentation, and I know you all have access to the PDF, we have added some links to some of the things that we chatted about today. So you'll see a link to our website, the directory, that link to connect with our consultants. We're very excited about National Apprenticeship Week, so there's a direct link to the website. If you're interested in signing up for the That's a Wrap email list, there's a link there. And then if you're interested in seeing about any of our other registered apprenticeship programs that have presented for the WRAP sessions, there's a link directly to that Google Drive. But just some resources to take away as you're thinking about registered apprenticeships or potentially wanting to learn more. Hopefully those quick links will help you get the information that you're looking for. But that's all the information that I had to share today. We would love to have any questions or any discussion that you want. Please feel free to drop them in the Q&A. We would love to have more discussions with you about registered apprenticeships.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Catherine. We'll give it just a few minutes here. We had a couple questions chatted in throughout the presentation, but certainly we're here to answer any follow-up questions anyone might have. And we will, again, share out the responses to the questions that were chatted in that we responded to during the webinar. Okay. Well, that's a wrap. No pun intended. Thank you both to our subject matter experts. Again, just save the date, December 16th for the paid family leave webinar. Appreciate our staff joining us here today. Look for this recording plus additional documents to be sent out in a subsequent email. So thank you again so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.